Now, we're turning our focus from policy onto infrastructure because even the most brilliant AI strategy needs something solid, something really solid to stand on. Our next session will spotlight how can you connect and protect your business in an AI-powered world. Isn't that something we all want to know? And we have the right speaker for this, the Chief Technology Officer of Cisco EMEA. And I have to give you a little disclaimer. His team actually won the Europe League final last night, so he's still celebrating. He's still on a high, so please give him also a warm welcome. Celebrate with him. He leads strategy, engineering, and digital transformation initiatives. And he is also a recognized STEM and inclusion advocate. He serves as the UK government's Digital Skills Council and is an entrepreneur in residence at Brunel University. So here he is. Please give him a warm welcome. Chintan Patel, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? Good. Some nodding heads. I am still celebrating. As was mentioned, my team, Tottenham Hotspur, won the Europa League final yesterday. When you haven't won something for several decades, it means something quite important. So I hope you'll appreciate me using the opportunity to highlight that. It's fantastic to be with all of you and spending time to just share a little bit more about what was mentioned around how, we're living in just such an exciting time at the moment with respect to AI. And I think it's very few opportunities we have in our lifetime to think about a technology that's going to fundamentally transform everything that's happening around us, the way we live, work, play, and learn. And it's already having an impact, which we're all seeing. That's why we're all here. That's why we're all spending time talking about the impact that AI is going to have. What I would say is that AI is fundamentally changing so much around us. It is having a profound impact in the way we work. We've talked a little bit about the potential cyber threats that are happening. And in many ways, the same way the internet transformed the way we live our lives, AI is having the same impact in terms of what's going to happen in the future. And so I really do think about the fact that this year and beyond is a real opportunity for every organization to take what's happened over the last 2 years and accelerate their organizations going forward. And we are obviously all here talking about the big changes that are happening as a result of AI, but we're seeing this explosion happening across multiple industries. We're seeing both the opportunity expanding, we're also seeing the threat landscape changing in significant ways, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. We're seeing complex risks evolving. We often talk about anything that can be connected to the internet is being connected and has been connected. But now with AI, every work process, every workflow, every application that can be enabled with AI is being enabled by AI. And that's changing the way our organizations are structured. The architecture of our businesses is fundamentally changing because of AI. And so we have to rethink the way we secure our organizations, the way we protect our employees, the way we protect data, which is at the heart of everything that AI is allowing us to offer. And clearly this digitization effort of everything being digitized in one way, shape, or form is continuing throughout every single industry. And AI will be embedded in everything going forward. But what we do see is that this potential risk of AI being infiltrated into every fabric of our lives from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep and everything in between has some inherent potential challenges. And the risks around the infrastructure, protecting the data, protecting those applications, and protecting those experiences is becoming a #1 priority, I would say, for every business leader, for every government. And we heard some of those stories throughout the morning in terms of how both companies and countries are thinking about what this impact will potentially be. And every year we run something called a Cybersecurity Readiness Index, and it assesses a number of organizations around the world to see, what does the threat landscape look like? Where are we? Not a day goes by when there isn't another organization that's been impacted by some sort of sophisticated cybersecurity impact. So this is a board level, governmental level issue. And this year's insights were particularly interesting because we're now starting to see, after the early proliferation of AI, that actually organizations are having to rethink their maturity levels. Just across Europe, Middle East, and Africa, the research found through thousands of organizations that only 3% have a mature cybersecurity readiness status. And the reason why that's important is because there was something startling we found out in the research, which showed 84% of organizations across Europe, Middle East, and Africa had experienced an AI-related cybersecurity incident in just the past year. So this is not just theory. This is absolutely happening with organizations. If they're not thinking about cybersecurity baked in, and you're only thinking about cybersecurity afterwards, then I think you're leaving yourself open to the risks that are there. And so we heard just earlier the use of deepfake technology. We've heard the technology like prompt injections. We're seeing hackers using sophisticated AI technologies to thwart traditional security methods. So we're having to rethink what we're doing and rethink the way security is embedded in what's happening. And maybe just to step back, if you look at the big picture, I mean, the positive impact that AI will have is, I guess, unquestionable. I think we all see, the impact that it will have. And I often look at it from the perspective of, if you think about we've got 8 billion people on the planet today, you add the power of AI, you multiply that, and you've effectively got the workhorse power of 80 billion people. When you think about the impact that agentic AI, you think about the impact of AI agents, apps, robotics, humanoids, which are absolutely coming to our workforce in both this year and as we go forward. There's an incredible opportunity to think about what this future landscape's going to look like for each and every one of our organizations. But what we do see is that all of these areas become this new class of risk. How do you protect those hundreds of thousands of virtual agents, AI agents that are working in your organization with agents in other organizations? What does that communications infrastructure look like? What guardrails do you have around this new digital worker, the same guardrails that you have around your human workers? And you're going to have to think about new ways to protect and control the AI agents in the same way that extends into autonomous systems, into robotics, and into humanoids. And so the infrastructure that's needed to build this future is going to need to be rethought about. And we're going to need to think about all the way from the ground up into the way we're designing these systems going forward. And at Cisco, one of the things we're very proud of is, we turned 40 this year. So, we celebrated our 40th anniversary. 40 years of connecting the world. Every single internet connection, nearly 98% of the world's internet traffic touches Cisco technology in one way, shape, or form. So every time you're getting to that AI applications or you're trying to get to a business process that's driven by AI, there's an underlying fabric and infrastructure that's running that. From A to B, it is core to what we do, and we do take that very seriously because, after learning what we've learned for 40 years, building the world's largest networks, we've been rethinking about actually what do we need to do to build the next generation of infrastructure for the future, and we're very heavily invested as a company in terms of how we're both building the AI infrastructure, how we're thinking about embedding security for AI and AI for security, but also thinking about the data problem. Because one of the things that obviously AI clearly relies on is data. And if you think that every packet, every token flows across the network infrastructure, then you've got this incredible asset inside your organizations to potentially give you new levels of data, new levels of access, and new ways to operate and augment your business. And we think about that in the sense of just the significant amount of telemetry that we have across our products and services to actually help our customers design this infrastructure for their AI future in a completely new way. So the telemetry that we have, that our customers have, not we, but our customers have, as a result of this connected infrastructure, gives them some unique insights in terms of what their AI applications are doing. What are people using these AI applications for? Where is the data going? Where is the traffic going? What guardrails do you need to put in place? How are you going to protect the outcomes? How do you protect the infrastructure going forward? So really an opportunity for organizations to think about how this comes together. And we think about the stack of what we do as a company end to end. And I'd say AI can't be thought of as a single layer problem. You know, we've thought about over the last few years, it's been all about GPUs. It's been all about the data. It's been all about compute. What we do realize, and what was highlighted in some of the presentations earlier, it's the network that connects all of those three components together, and it's security that gives you the wrapper and protection to use AI in a safe and secure way. And so we think about the whole stack in terms of what organizations need to deliver AI safely and securely in the enterprise. We're very privileged to be working and building 4 out of 5 of the largest hyperscalers in the world. We work and build their AI training infrastructure, back-end networks. So we've got a huge amount of experience in building the largest secure networking fabrics for the world's largest service providers and hyperscalers. And what we've been doing over the last couple of years is taking all of that know-how and packaging it into smaller enterprise-scale pods, because actually we're only going to benefit as organizations from AI if we can harness the data that's sitting trapped inside our organizations. And especially here in EMEA, you know, we absolutely care about our data, and we're seeing across the European region in particular, organizations and countries wanting to harness things on-premise with sovereign data, with data residency. And so you need the infrastructure stack, the networking, the compute, the GPUs, the data together, and the orchestration in an easy-to-use, simple way. And we've heard that from organizations of all sizes. You know, we want to do something with AI. We want to do something with our data. We don't necessarily want to put it all in the public cloud. We might do that for training. But as we get down into inference and actually using it, the costs in public cloud are too large for us to scale. And we need to do something in terms of building our own infrastructure on-premise or in a hybrid way. And so, you know, our efforts have been to take our enterprise know-how and build the stack that allows our customers to have the complete offering in terms of networking, in terms of compute. We build our own silicon, and we're very unique in terms of building world-class silicon that gives us an opportunity to build some of the most scalable systems on the planet, from the biggest to the smallest. We also have that rich set of data that I talked about that's traversing across our platforms, which allows our customers to take the enterprise data and the infrastructure data together and do unique things with. We also then have frameworks and tooling, and we work with all of the different model providers. We've been building, like everybody, a unified AI assistant. So, you know, you would use one natural language interface to not really need to know CLI anymore. So if there's any network engineers, security engineers who've been using CLI, you know, generative AI has helped us really mask the complexity. And, you know, we know there's a digital skills shortage across the world, and especially here in EMEA. And so anything we can do to remove the barriers to get more people into tech, more diverse communities into tech, and people perhaps with different skill sets, the better. And so we're really trying to simplify how the technology comes together. But the security aspect becomes incredibly huge. So we recently launched a product called Cisco's AI Defense. I mean, this is the world's first enterprise tooling that allows you to actually see what people are using inside your organizations. It's in many ways, it's like what cloud was. You know, when cloud first came along, there was shadow cloud inside organizations, and IT teams didn't really know who was doing what. AI is exactly the same. So we've now got the opportunity to allow organizations to look at what applications people are using, what online AI services are they using, what data are they putting into prompts, where's that data going? We can also benchmark and test these tools against industry standards to say, well, is there potentially model hijacking that might have gone in? What are the barriers, and what do you need to put in place? And so, you know, there's some unique capabilities that we can now offer. And then, you know, the observability piece becomes important because we're all operating hybrid IT stacks now. Our most important applications are sitting on infrastructure that we no longer own, but you are ultimately, as IT leaders, responsible for that experience. And so how do you observe things that are sitting both in owned and unowned networks and infrastructure, in public cloud, in private cloud? It's traversing across shared global internet networks, and you're still accountable to deliver that customer service application or that healthcare application or something into the public service. So the observability piece and what Cisco is doing with Splunk and what we've got in our portfolio really gives that end-to-end visibility all the way from the AI models into the infrastructure to make sure we're delivering compelling services. And in that vein, I wanted to highlight something that we've just done recently, and there was a lot of talk around open source. We felt that the industry and the security community needed its own AI model. And what we'd seen is the generic AI models that are out there are not really fine-tuned for what the cybersecurity and security industry needs. And so we've just introduced a couple of weeks ago our first foundation AI model. This is an 8 billion parameter model based on Llama. We've fine-tuned it with all of that security telemetry that I talked about that we have, common vulnerabilities, red teaming, and insight from security practitioners. And this model now is open sourced, and we've put it on Hugging Face, and we're asking the community to go out and use it. And the analogy I would use is, if you need to get heart surgery, you wouldn't go and see a dentist. And it's the same way with models, and it's the same way domain-specific models are going to be the way the industry goes. Generic models have their use, but actually for our industry, and particularly in terms of cybersecurity, that intelligence and insight is going to be hugely important. And later this year, we'll be releasing a reasoning model which will take that one step further. So really, one more thing to kind of finally call out. We've just got a tremendous amount of innovation happening at the company. We're introducing a whole set of things around open source, around the Internet of. We've had the Internet of Things. We've now got the Internet of Agents. And think about all of these AI agents that you've got operating inside your organizations. We've built an open source community with LangChain and Galileo and a number of industry players to build a protocol to allow these agents to communicate together. We're working with the likes of NVIDIA and ServiceNow and Mistral from here in Europe to build new platforms for our customers. And I just mentioned our first foundation model. So we're hugely excited by the opportunity that AI is going to give, but we're also very realistic about how we need to build the next generation infrastructure that protects all of us, protects humanity against the potential risks that are there. So thank you for your time. Really appreciate you all listening. Enjoy the rest of GITEX.